Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to We Believe Digital Studios, downtown Jackson, Mississippi, for our twice weekly news break show, Wednesdays and Fridays at 3 p.m. So glad you're joining us today. We do got stuff going on today in Jackson. In the late morning, I saw a report from WLBT, Forest Hill High School, placed on a temporary lockdown as police search for a subject. Well, that's all they had to say. But then at 1:03 p.m., just a couple hours ago, WAPT shared Jackson police, along with law enforcement from around the metro, searching for 3 armed suspects in South Jackson. That's according to Chief Joseph Wade. Officers had blocked off Forest Hill Drive, where they found 2 stolen vehicles at a home, along with multiple firearms, including what the chief described as assault-style weapons and modified handguns. 3 people were taken into custody at the house, and 3 others who were armed with guns fled into the woods. The chief said there is an active search for the 3 suspects in the Forest Hill and Maddox Road areas, and we don't need 3 armed individuals running through South Jackson. So that was that at 1 o'clock, and then at 1:34, I see from WAPT that the lockdown at Forest Hill High School has been lifted. So there's nothing about finding them guys or anything like that, but apparently they sense that the whatever potential threat in the area is not close by to the school. They did say they're putting a drone in the air too, to see if they can find these guys. So, it never ends. And a report from the National Transportation Safety Board saying this morning gas leaks were known about for 2 weeks before explosions in 2 South Jackson homes. Now, you remember, and these 2 homes are about a mile apart, and one of these 2 homes claimed the life of an older woman that was in the other home that exploded on the gas leaks. There was nobody there. The home was vacant. The homes are only 2 feet apart. I went out to that area right after it happened, and man, oh man, I never seen so many Atmos Energy gas, whatever, energy trucks. I never seen so many. They were all over those streets back there. I never known they had that many trucks. They were everywhere. So a lot going on. And our very own Congressman Benny Thompson is calling for a briefing from them now that he's got wind from the National Transportation Safety Board that people knew about the leaks, but they had labeled them as non-threatening. 2 houses blown up, 1 lady dead, non-threatening. So that's that story. Another story out of Hinds County, and they tried to have a meeting yesterday, but only 2 people showed up for the meeting. 1 person was sick. That my representative, Bobcat, he was sick, but 2 other people were out for different reasons, and so they didn't have a quorum to conduct any business. Apparently, they're getting back on track today. The Hinds County Board of Supervisors voted to rescind more than $5 million in previously allocated funds and to redirect those dollars to pay for repairs to the circuit courthouse and pay to repave roads in Jackson and rural parts of the county. The board voted today to declare the courthouse in disrepair and take emergency action to use the American Rescue Plan funds to pay for badly needed repairs to the leaking roof of the 94-year-old courthouse. They say the judges got water coming in their offices, and the prosecutors saying they got files getting wet up in there. So Robert Graham said we have a district attorney got files getting wet, so we're trying to do everything we can to possibly do repair to the courthouse. Now, they didn't specify who that money was rescinded from. Not sure who that is, but based on recent news stories, they're also going to be paving some rural roads, and we got a lot going on out there in the Bolton Bolton area, South Clinton. A lot going on out there. Potholes been going on for decades, and it's just crazy. So it looked like that's finally going to get fixed. It looks like the current supervisor there, the new supervisor, Tony Smith, is jumping right in on that and trying to get some stuff done. So obviously that's a good thing. As we open up to the broader Mississippi, out of Jackson and Hinds County, more to the broader Mississippi viewpoint, never come on the show without sharing with everybody that today is just another day when your Republican legislators in a Republican-led state government, the governor, the lieutenant governor, the Speaker of the House, the Republican majority in the House, the Republican majority in the Mississippi State Senate, not one of these people, your duly elected peoples, are calling for a hearing on the TANF scandal, the largest fraud in the history of the state of Mississippi, where these people and their appointees now, they redirected, misspent, stole, pilfered, which word would you choose, upwards of $97 million to apply to their pet projects, things that they wanted to spend money on, like sending ex-wrestlers to rehab up in Malibu, California. And Lieutenant Governor Reeves at the time, now our governor, $1.3 million of that money on fitness boot camps. Now, I've seen him lately now. He doesn't look much better than I do, so I don't know what the fitness boot camps are doing, but $1.3 million, it seemed like he'd be, smooth as can be, but no. So, but the key here is this. This is not just any money provided by the federal government. And the state of Mississippi would be bankrupt without the federal government. The state of Mississippi this last year took 47.87% of its revenues came from the feds. So in other words, Mississippi is not self-supporting. It's not able to sustain itself without enormous funding from the federal government. And yet they pass these draconian rules and bills and stuff. But this money here that they stole, that they don't want to talk about, is money that was provided by the federal government specifically for the poorest of the poor in Mississippi. So they didn't take just any old federal money. They took money that's set aside for the poorest families, poorest children in Mississippi, which is the poorest state in the nation. You see how devilish that is? You see how wrong they are for that? And you see why they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to have a hearing. Because all that didn't happen by one or two or three or four people. Lots of people were involved with that. Lots of people knew about that. How are you supposed to spend $97 million and people not know about it in the legislature? Come on now. So we don't come on the air for the Newsbreak show without sharing that simple truth with you. That in our Republican-dominated state, Republican-dominated legislature, what they call a trifecta, the governor's office, the lieutenant governor's office, the secretary of state, and of course the attorney general, they're all Republican, and the whole legislature, predominantly Republicans. The Democrats are in the minority, but they don't want to talk about this story. We talk about it since they don't want to talk about it. Story from WJTV. Mississippi received more than 4,500 absentee ballots just recently for the 2024 presidential primary election. As of Tuesday, February 20th, the statewide election management system reported having a total of 2,592 absentee ballots requested and having sent out 4,358 absentee ballots and 1,957 absentee ballots have already been received back. The race is on March 12th. You know, it is the primary. And you're going to see the names of the president, the Senate, U.S. representatives, et cetera, on that primary. So we got to go to the polls on March 12th. It's the primary, preceding the November election, right? A story out of Clarksdale, 15-year-old dead after a shooting in Clarksdale on Monday morning. According to Clarksdale police, officers responded to a shooting at 2 a.m. in the 800 block of Choctaw Street. Police say several shots fired into a house, striking a 15-year-old multiple times. He was pronounced dead on the scene. 7 other people were also inside the home during the time of the shooting, but no one else got reported injured. Police said that the previous Thursday, that was Monday, the previous Thursday, Clarksdale police were called out 3 times for shootings. So a lot going on over there. Just about up on our first break here. Got a couple more stories to share with you. Secretary of State Michael Watson joined 3 other Secretaries of State seeking more federal funding for cyber and physical security for elections. He says, I'm not one that appreciates strings. Some of this stuff, you cannot make this stuff up, especially that story I just told you about stealing this federal money for the poorest people, right? Our own Secretary of State said, I'm not one that appreciates strings attached to the federal government. I can't stand it, he said. I think that gets us in a whole lot of trouble and violates a lot of constitutional principles. How about violating the difference between right and wrong? You know, he said he doesn't mind partnering with them. States should be able to decide what happens to the money. It's just so ironic to hear our Secretary of State talk like that when you got this rampant corruption right down the street from his office, and like they all ignore, like it never even happened, and they speak with that bigness about it, like bigness, but it's not like that. It's not like that. Fraud, lying, cheating, stealing going on, all on the taxpayer dime. Leaders on yesterday pushed back on Governor Reeves' social media post. I pushed back on it my own self on Twitter, but that he criticized state lawmakers for pressing ahead with legislation that would expand Medicaid coverage to the working poor, a policy the governor has long opposed. He tweeted, some in the Mississippi State Capitol still want Obamacare's medical expansion. Most, but not all, are Democrats. See, and then he attached a post, part of the post, he attached a picture of a 2023 media post from the former President Trump saying, Obamacare sucks. And you see what the Governor Reeves does, being the racially centric person that he is, he say Obamacare because he's trying to connect that with blackness. Because he knows if he does that they'll hear that dog whistle, that the good old boys throughout Mississippi will hear that dog whistle, and they'll never support it. They'll never support the expansion of Medicaid, which will bring untold billions of dollars into our state economy, help with our healthcare crisis like you wouldn't believe. Listen to what the state economist says. It's just phenomenal. The program, with the savings accomplished, pays for itself for the first 7 or 8 years. And then after that, it's a drop in the bucket compared to what we're trying to spend now. So Reeves is, he's just on the wrong page because that's what's in his DNA. He can't not be what he is. And he is a racially centric human being. That's the same governor that said any day be a good day to not be in Jackson. That's the same governor that in April will proclaim Confederate Memorial Day, but he will not say nothing about Black History Month, not a word. So that's the way he is, and the leopard don't change its stripes, but we have to figure out ways to deal with all that. So that's it for our first segment, and we're just going to dip out for a couple commercials. We'll be right back with you.
Have you had your Earthblend coffee today? At Earthblend Coffee, we take pride in offering you the very best of beans across the world, blended and roasted to perfection, giving you superior quality and satisfying and flavorful taste. Experience the world in one cup with Earthblend Coffee. To order, visit earthblendcoffee.co now.
The Mississippi Link is an African-American female-owned newspaper with a trusted voice that is highly respected throughout the city, state, and nation. Our motto, Keepers of the Knowledge for People Who Speak the Truth, since 1993. Link significantly influences the thoughts, attitudes, and buying decisions of its readers. Call us at 601-368-8481 for your advertising needs. If you would like to receive a newspaper in the mail each week, our annual subscription is only $52 per year. That is only $1 per week for you to stay informed regarding many stories that you can only get in the Mississippi Link. Sign up today at themississippiLink.com and click on Home Delivery.
Welcome back, everybody. Popping out to the national level. We told you about this story before, about this young man who the Texas school system in Mont Belvieu, about 30 miles from Houston, Barbers Hill High School, they don't like the way he wears his hair. They don't like the way. You always got white people telling black people how to wear their hair. How is that? Do you for one second think that school board is a black school board telling him how to wear his hair? See, we got to have basic human regard for one another, and that's missing down there. And a judge on Thursday will hear arguments. Can you even believe this? A judge on Thursday will hear arguments whether a Texas school district can continue punishing a black teenager for refusing to change his hairstyle. At least they didn't cut it off. We've seen that before, though, right? Daryl George, a junior at Barbers Hill High School, about 30 miles from Houston, has been in school suspension or at an off-site disciplinary program for most of the school year. School officials said in August that George's hair, which he wears in dreadlocks twisted neatly on top of his head, away from his face, away from his neck, I don't even like that they added that part, violates a district dress code regulating the length of the boy's hair, which he has piled on his head. You got to get a life, man. You got to start worrying about bigger things. According to the student handbook, male student hair cannot exceed past the eyebrows or the earlobes. He received letters and messages from people encouraging him and supporting his decision not to cut his hair, said the family attorney Allie Booker. The 18-year-old has said the support has made all the difference amid the headline-making controversy. Daryl George, if you want to add him to your prayer list. Russian authorities have detained a woman who is a Los Angeles resident and a dual national on suspicion of treason for raising funds to support Ukraine in its defense against the Kremlin's invasion. She got dual citizenship. A senior U.S. official confirmed to NBC News that the detained American is Ksenia Karelina, a Russian-American, dual citizenship, Russian-American ballerina. Karelina, 33, became a U.S. citizen in 2021. The Russian Federation Security Service in Ural Mountain City said early Tuesday that the woman, who it did not name, has dual citizenship. Carolina's former mother-in-law said she's such a gentle flower, and I'm very, very concerned about her physical being, about her mental being. I just want her back. That's what the former mother-in-law. You know she must be a very good person, right? Yeah, the White House said it's working to secure what they call consular access. We all know by now about the shooting after the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl parade, rather. Two men charged with murder now in the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl parade shooting that killed one woman and injured more than 20 people, a lot of them kids. The defendants were named by prosecutors as Dominic Miller and Lindell Mays. They each face charges of second-degree murder, armed criminal action, and unlawful use of weapon, according to a statement from Jackson County Prosecutor's Office. The defendants attended a Super Bowl parade and rally on February 14th and were armed with firearms, the office said. A verbal altercation occurred and gunfire broke out with no regard for thousands of other individuals in the area. Next story, Queen Bee. Beyonce has once again made history as the first black female, keyword female, artist to have a #1 country song. That announcement came yesterday from Billboard. Just more than a week after being released, the song Texas Hold'em topped Billboard's Hot Country Song chart at #1. And the second song, 16 Carriages, sat at #9. The R&B and hip-hop icon and native Texan is reclaiming a genre that scholars say has roots in black instrument and music traditions, yet has historically excluded black artists, especially black women. The two tracks, released February 11th, were announced during a Super Bowl commercial in anticipation of the release of Beyonce's upcoming album, a sequel to her 2022 album Renaissance, to be released in March. She is also the first woman to top both Billboard's Hot Country Songs and Hot R&B Hip-Hop Songs charts since the lists were created in 1958. Billboard reported that this morning. 3 more stories for you today, and these are all on the world front. Try to provide a summary of the Israel-Hamas war. The United States has been widely criticized for vetoing a United Nations resolution calling for a ceasefire. China said the veto sends the wrong message. France and Qatar voiced their regret, while leading aid groups expressed dismay. Washington had circulated a rival draft resolution calling for temporary pause. But something else came to the floor for a vote, and the United States voted against the ceasefire. White House Middle East envoy Brett McGurk is traveling to Cairo today to continue discussions on a deal for the release of hostages held by Hamas and a temporary ceasefire. A Hamas delegation has also been in Egypt as talks continue after Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu dismissed Hamas's proposed deal as delusional. The U.S. has said it hopes for ceasefire by next month, when Israel has vowed to begin an assault on the overcrowded city of Rafah unless a deal reached. The World Food Program is pausing the delivery of food to northern Gaza until conditions are safe, saying its drivers were shot at and faced looting and beating. The agency said this decision would add to the unprecedented desperation in Gaza, after earlier warning the enclave is at risk of famine. UNICEF warned yesterday that Gaza faced an explosion in child deaths due to malnutrition and illness. More than 29,000 So that number has gone up by 700 people since our last report to you last Friday. More than 29,300 people have been killed in Gaza since the war began, according to the Palestinian Health Ministry. More than 69,300 have been injured, and thousands more are missing or presumed dead. Israeli military officials said at least 237 soldiers have been killed since the ground invasion in Gaza began, which was on October 7th. The Israeli offensive followed the October 7th attack by Hamas. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has received a car from Russian President Vladimir Putin, quote, for his personal use, unquote. He got him a car. The North Korean state media reported that on Tuesday, and they say it also it's a violation of UN resolution against Pyongyang that Russia had also agreed to. The car was delivered to North Korea by the Russian side February 18th, according to a report from the state-run Korean Central News Agency. The king's sister, Kim Yo-young, quote, courteously conveyed Kim Jong-un's thanks to Putin to the Russian side, saying that the gift serves as a clear demonstration of the special personal relations between the top leaders of the DPRK and Russia, and as the best one, unquote. Can't make it up. And lastly, Japan got a recession going on over there. Japan has lost its spot as the world's third largest economy to Germany, as the Asian giant unexpectedly slipped into recession. Once the second largest economy in the world, Japan reported 2 consecutive quarters of contraction on this past Thursday, falling 0.4% on an annualized basis in the fourth quarter, and after a revised 3.3% contraction in the third quarter. Fourth quarter GDP sharply missed forecast for 1.4% growth, according to a Reuters poll of economists. And again, a recession is broadly defined as 2 consecutive quarters of contraction. So they got some stuff going on over there. That's all we got for you today on the News Break. We'll be back Friday at 3 p.m. for another edition. Please take good care of yourselves and each other.